Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lessons from Life. Today's story is about fear, courage, and the truth we sometimes hide from the people we love. It also contains many useful daily English sentences, so listen carefully and practice with me. Now, let's begin. My name is Emily Carter. I am 31 years old. I live in a quiet neighborhood in Denver, Colorado, with my husband, Ryan Carter, and our little daughter, Emma, who is only 1 year old. Ryan owns a small construction company. He works long hours, but no matter how busy he is, he always comes home with a smile. Every evening, Emma laughs happily the moment she hears his car pull into the driveway. Ryan lifts her into his arms, kisses her forehead, and then hugs me. Those simple moments made me believe that my life was finally complete. For 5 years, we lived peacefully. Then everything changed. One evening, while we were having dinner, Ryan looked unusually serious. "Emily," he said softly, "I have to leave too. Tomorrow." I looked at him in surprise. "For how long?" "My older brother was injured in an accident. His wife is taking care of their children alone. They need me for a couple of weeks." I felt sorry for him. "Of course," I said. "Family comes first." Ryan smiled gratefully. Before going to bed, he walked to his office and picked up a black document folder. "If someone from my company comes while I'm away," he said, "please give them this folder." I nodded. "Should I invite them inside?" Ryan immediately shook his head. "No, just hand it over at the door." The next morning, Ryan kissed Emma goodbye and left before sunrise. For the first few days, everything was normal. I cleaned the house, played with Emma, and spoke to Ryan every evening on the phone. Then, on the fourth night, the doorbell rang. It was almost 11 o'clock. Emma was already asleep upstairs. I walked slowly to the front door and looked through the small window. The moment I saw the man outside, my heart almost stopped. It was Daniel Brooks, the man I had spent years trying to forget. 8 years earlier, Daniel had been my husband. Back then, I was only 23. At first, he was charming, funny, and caring. But after our wedding, he became someone completely different. He controlled everything I did. He decided where I could go, who I could meet, even what I could wear. Whenever he lost his temper, he shouted. Sometimes he became violent. Every day felt like walking through a storm. One rainy night, after another terrifying argument, I packed a small backpack and escaped while he was asleep. I never looked back. I moved to another city. I finished college, found a new job, and slowly built a peaceful life. Then I met Ryan. Ryan never raised his voice. He respected me. He made me feel safe again. But there was one thing I never told him. I never told him about Daniel. I buried that painful chapter deep inside my heart. And now, Daniel was standing outside my house. I opened the door only a few inches. "What are you doing here?" I asked quietly. Daniel smiled. "I work for Ryan now." I stared at him. "What?" "I'm one of his delivery drivers," he replied calmly. My hands became cold. I came to collect the document folder. Without saying another word, I walked to Ryan's office, picked up the folder, and returned to the door. I handed it to him, but Daniel didn't move. Instead, he looked directly into my eyes. "So, your husband doesn't know about us." It wasn't a question. It was a warning. I couldn't answer. Daniel gave a slow smile. I thought so. Then he turned around and disappeared into the darkness. I quickly locked the door. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking every window, every door, every sound outside made my heart race. I prayed I would never see him again. But deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. The next evening, I hoped Daniel would never return. But at exactly 11 o'clock, the doorbell rang again. I looked through the window. It was him. He stood there with the same cold smile. "Emily," he said softly, "secrets never stay hidden forever." I didn't answer. I closed the curtains and held Emma tightly in my arms. But Daniel didn't stop. Every night, he came back. Sometimes he only stood outside. Sometimes he smiled. Sometimes he whispered, "I wonder what Ryan would think if he knew everything." Fear slowly entered my home. I stopped sleeping well. Every little sound made me nervous. One afternoon, I looked at Emma playing on the living room floor. She smiled at me without a single worry. At that moment, I made a decision. I had run away once. I would not run again. The next morning, I called Ryan's office. I spoke with his business partner, Mr. Collins. I told him everything, not only about Daniel's late-night visits, but also about my painful past. Mr. Collins listened carefully. Then he said, "Emily, thank you for telling me. Leave the rest to us." The following night, Daniel returned as usual. This time, I opened the door. He smiled proudly. "I knew you'd finally talk to me." I looked at him calmly. "No," I replied. "I'm finished being afraid." Suddenly, bright lights filled the front yard. A police car stopped beside the house. Mr. Collins stepped out with 2 police officers. Daniel's smile disappeared. The officer walked toward him. "We've received reports that you've been harassing this woman for several days." Daniel tried to deny everything, but Mr. Collins spoke first. "We've also received complaints from other employees about his threatening behavior." The officer looked at Daniel. "You need to come with us." Daniel stared at me with anger. But this time, I didn't lower my eyes. I stood tall. For the first time in years, I felt stronger than my fear. A few days later, Ryan finally returned home. That evening, after Emma had fallen asleep, I told him everything. Every secret, every tear, every painful memory. When I finished speaking, I couldn't even look at him. I was afraid he would be disappointed. Instead, Ryan gently held my hands. He looked into my eyes and said, "Emily, you survived something no one should ever face. You don't have to be ashamed of your past. I'm proud of your courage." Tears rolled down my cheeks. For years, I believed my past would destroy my future. But I was wrong. The truth didn't break our family. It made us stronger. That night, I realized something important. The past can knock on your door, but it only controls your life if you let fear in. Answer it. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is tell the truth. And from that day forward, our home was filled with peace once again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming English stories.